Hello, and welcome to the SharePoint Framework and JavaScript Special Interest Group Biweekly Sync. It is June 20th, 2019. We've got a great call for you today with two great demos and some updates about the various programs. We'll start off, as usual, with an update on SharePoint Framework, updates across the Patterns and Practices program offerings, and then we got demos from David and Laurent, and those I'm excited to see those. So David's got one on library components combined with SVGs. And then Laurent is going to be showing us Matomo Analytics in Modern SharePoint, which is another analytics option for you to embed in your sites to gather data about what your users are doing. So Microsoft Teams, quick update. We are really excited to be moving to Teams when we can. And so that's going to be after our break. So as we've talked about, we have a break coming up in July. So all these calls will go on a summer hiatus. That allows all of us a little bit of break. Honestly, a lot of us are out at various times, so it makes coverage for the calls tough. So it just makes sense. We all get a nice little break in July, and when we come back in August, the calls will be set up as Teams calls. So we'll have the links updated, so those aka.ms links that are out there now, those will be updated behind the scenes, and will then point to the new meeting calls. So we'll have much more details about that coming as we get back into the August timeframe as we start ramping back up to those calls. But remember, no calls through the month of July, and I think we got a couple more slides to remind folks on that. So this will actually be the last SPFx and PnP SIG call for this until August. So glad everybody's here with us today. So opportunities to participate in the PnP program. So we love demos. I think the demos, I always say this, I think they're the most valuable parts of these calls to see what the great work all of you out there in the community are doing. So you can update anything related to SPFx. So web parts, customizers, provisioning, really anything you can come up with there. Reusable libraries, different ideas there. Lots of stuff to demo, and as well you can demo anything related to the @PnP offerings. So that could be a PnP JS, CLI, the reusable controls, or the Yeoman generator, or all of those things together. So love to see those demos, and I always learn something new, and I hope all of you do as well. If you're interested in demoing, please reach out to myself or Vesa, and we'll get you on the schedule. We'll do our very best to get you booked as soon as we can, but just a heads up that sometimes we're booked a month out, maybe a little bit more, so it might not be immediate that we can get you on a call. Don't be discouraged. We will get you on a call. It's just sometimes we'll get you in the earliest slot available. So just reach out to us. Would love to have you demo your great work on the call. As well, you can contribute on GitHub, and that could take any number of forms, from reporting issues you might find in any of our various projects, submitting pull requests to help fix bugs, add new features, add new capabilities, to any of the various libraries. All of our projects are looking for pull requests and actively welcome and encourage those. And then as well, if you have a little bit of time, sometimes in the issues list people are asking questions and have just general sort of how do I sort of questions that sometimes those of us on sort of the core team, so to speak, can't necessarily get to right away. So if you have a little bit of time, it can help folks out. That's always a big help as well, and a great way to contribute and help out other folks in the community that might have questions. And then finally, you can always provide feedback to us on how are the calls going, how is our documentation, where can we maybe provide a little bit more help or a little bit more value, and then as well, positive feedback is okay too. Let us know what we're doing well, and we can do more of that. So, but welcome all kinds of feedback, and certainly want to hear from all of you your thoughts on how we're doing and how we can make things a little bit better. Moving right along. I mentioned this earlier, just remind folks again on the slide here. So all our community calls are on break through July. So we'll come back in August. We'll get all of those call links updated, and we'll get those things put out there and advertised across all the normal channels. So, on Twitter, on the web pages and so forth. But we'll be back in August with our normal calendar of calls. So the SIG calls, both this one and the general dev SIG call will continue. The monthly community calls and so forth will continue. But all of those are taking a break for July. GitHub activities will continue as normal, with a little bit of a caveat that as people are on vacation and things like that, responses could be slower. If you have a pull request out there and it seems to not be getting merged right away, please don't, again, be discouraged. Folks might just be on vacation or doing various things, but the GitHub activities will continue. We will, I believe, PnP JS, I know, will have releases through the summer, and I believe the other libraries and offerings will as well, but I don't want to speak for everybody, but I believe that to be true. So just remember, taking a break through July. I look forward to seeing you back in August. Now I'll pass things off to Vesa for a quick SharePoint framework update.
Thank you. So nothing too dramatic today, but some updates, actually, some more additional details. Now, a few kind of recaps, which probably should be actually outside of this section, but just a reminder, AKMS SP Dev Docs. From here, you can actually find from a community page also the updated invites. So if you go to the AKMS Dev Docs, and there's a community on the left side, and then from that page, you can actually download the updated ICS files and the updated call information, which will be renewed after this call and in upcoming days. So we will still have one more community call coming up on next Thursday, which is the general SIG call. So all of the non-SharePoint framework development topics is a week from now. And then after that, we'll go for the summer break and we'll come back in August. All of these things are basically then updated for you. And we're going to do a kind of a, how would I put it, infinite invites. And then if there will be any future cancellations, for example, from a year from now and so on, we'll just redirect the links to the pages, which will tell you the situation where we are. Now, the recordings and everything else are available in the AKMS SP Dev videos. So in our YouTube channel, we right now have 10,700 subscribers roughly on that YouTube channel. And we're looking into having a nice set of new videos also available in that channel quite soon. And then we have SharePoint Dev Issues, AKMS SP Dev Issue List, where you can submit if there's any issues related on any technologies and APIs which are working. So please let us know if you're running into any generic issues over there. Now, Vincent had a one comment there before I move on to the following slides related on a lot of cleaning in user voice, a lot of cleaning on the requests. I spent quite a significant amount of time actually earlier today on addressing asks and requests in the user voice. So if you're getting those emails in your inbox, that's because of that cleaning which we had in user voice. So just a kind of a recap on that one, even though that was mainly for CSAM APIs, is we wanted to actually explicitly call out what's going to happen with some of these CSAM APIs. We'd had hundreds and hundreds of votes. If you're not planning to invest on them, we thought that it's a fair game then to tell you that we're not planning on investing them and freeing those votes. So you can actually reuse them on other locations. So that's why there was quite a lot of cleaning happening earlier today. Now, a few other things which we wanted to talk about. So let me go to here. Some updates on the SharePoint framework usage. So the usage of SharePoint framework is relatively steady, 45-degree angle in the last 6 months. So we are growing much higher than, much faster than expected. We don't actually see that much slowness due to summer at this point yet, but there probably will be a small slowdown coming into July because Europe, July-August timeframe, because Europe is having at least some summer vacations during that time. And that usually is visible in the usage data. On the other hand, the growth is so phenomenal, so it might be that the growth is actually hiding that small typical dip which we're having this thing or seeing these things. Now, quick update also on the training package. So we did release a new version of the training package earlier this week. I think it was on Monday or Tuesday, I can't remember. Time flies when you're having fun. But there's a 9 new versions and modules released under the AKMS SPFx training. And that is a blog post which went live from the SharePoint Dev blog, which is then calling out these 9 individual modules. This wasn't a video update, so we didn't update the videos. So the videos are still the same, but all of the modules and hands-on labs are now using SharePoint Framework 1.8.2, so the latest possible framework which has been released. So feel free to use this any way you want. These have hands-on labs, demos, presentations, and the video delivery as well. So if you're looking into redelivering this package to your own developers, or if you're a team lead, or to anybody else, if you're a trainer and you would want to tell somebody how to do SharePoint framework development, you can reuse this package any way you want. Or if you're an MVP or doing conference presentations, there's good slides inside of here as well. So feel free to reuse anything in this package any way you want. That's basically given to you to take advantage in your work. Now, so really cool stuff. And the last three which we added, by the way, there was building Microsoft Teams tab customizations using SharePoint Framework, which still sounds so bad. So we're looking into renaming SharePoint Framework sooner or later. More news on that one in autumn. Deployment of SharePoint Framework components to production. No, that wasn't. Using React and Office UI Fabric was a new module, which was relatively recently added there as well. But cool stuff. Really, really great polished hands-on labs and material. Now, on updates on the SharePoint Dev roadmap, a few things here. So it's kind of an updated, more detailed information. So right now we're looking into releasing SharePoint Framework 1.9 in the 9th of July. So we're moving into this planned monthly release cycle with SharePoint Framework, and that means that we are planning to get a new version out on every second Tuesday of every single month. Now, it might be that we're missing the Tuesday. It might be that there's an unexpected regression which we need to jump into or whatever, but our plan is to get it out on second Tuesday of every single month. So you'll know that it's coming out, and you can plan your work accordingly based on these updates. Obviously, the older versions will work as well. So when we're pushing out a new version, it doesn't change anything in the older versions. General availability of library components. David is going to talk about that one in this call later today. So he's going to talk about that one. Please remember to mute yourself. I can hear quite a lot of background noise coming from somebody's chair. Graph API, third-party API polishing happening in this release, related on Microsoft Teams, mobile and desktop clients. And now I need to double check that we have everybody muted. So thank you. Somebody probably muted the person. And then isolated web part model supported in Microsoft Teams. That Teams integration improvements in general coming in 1.9 as well. Now, quick point, somebody's saying there's an audio and video issues. Please, all of this is getting recorded. So if you go to the AKMS SP Dev videos, you can get the recording out within 24 hours. So now, following SharePoint Framework release 10 is planned to happen on 13th of August. And then after that, we're looking into additional things as well. So we do not have a clear list what's going to be released in August release or after that, but we get these plans clarified as we move along on this journey. Now, Office add-ins with SharePoint Framework coming up relatively soon. CSP content security policy coming up. That's additional security layer. CSM.NET standard still getting worked on. Definitely coming. I updated status on that one in user voice earlier today. Story for SPFx solutions getting a lot of attention, and we're looking into that. There are some dependencies on other teams on that one, so it has been slightly delayed, and we do apologize on that. Additional content extensions for modern pages. This is additional content placeholders, which are in pipeline. We'll likely talk in the SharePoint conference coming up later this year. And then app catalog and deployment improvements are also in the pipeline. So we will want to make things easier for developers to take advantage in the site collection level. Good. I think that's it from my side, unless I'm completely mistaken. Oh, there's one more slide. Oh, there's a nice animation. There Parker goes. That's probably Patrick having fun with the slides because that wasn't mine. There we go. One kind of a teaser, we're looking into making this Getting Started video series available as well. So we have recognized that more and more people are kind of giving us feedback that a lot of our content is quite advanced. And we do understand and acknowledge this because we are growing. So the community of SharePoint Framework is growing super fast. There's new people coming into this world all the time. And the old people might be quite advanced and they're quite far from the Getting Started level. So we need to kind of reset things, and we want to get and do some videos which are on the Getting Started level as well. And these will vary vary from getting started on PnP JS usage or using Office 365 CLI, SharePoint 2019 development, but basically having a quick 5 to 10 minute video, which will then explain the getting started information around that one. And this will be stuff like getting started on deploying the SharePoint Framework solution to your tenant. So what has to be happening? What are the steps? For some people, might be quite simple. But for new people, we need to remember that we need to show the basics as well, so people are able to catch up on the adoption of SharePoint Framework. But I think that's it from my side. So now we're moving into the PnP JS side. So Patrick, take it away.
So updates on the PnP offerings, PnP JS client-side libraries, who will have a 1.3.4 release on July 12th. So that will go out as scheduled. And then some updates on version 2. We'll continue on that over the summer as folks have time. We did do a call last Friday on how to get involved, or if you're interested in helping out, a little more details on what that means. That link there, aka.ms PnP JS v2-start-contributing, will take you to that video, and it is on the standard PnP YouTube channel as well. So if you're familiar with finding that, you can find that video. And I want to thank everybody that joined that call, and thanks to everybody that's watched that and reached out with interest in helping out. I look forward to working with all of you. So thanks again for your interest. And just a reminder, Julie, Simon, and David are really helping to coordinate a lot of that work. So if you hear from them, they are the ones who are really trying to help schedule those issues and make sure people are assigned and help with questions and so forth. So they've been a huge help, and really appreciate their work on helping to make V2 real. So links down there at the bottom to the existing V1 documentation, pnp.github.io/pnpjs, hashtag pnpjs on Twitter. You can follow me at MediocreBowler on Twitter. I post mostly just stuff about PnP.js, so you won't get a ton of just extra junk from me. Anyway, so that's PnP JS updates. Updates for the CLI, a new beta was released, 1.22, with commands for setting SharePoint home site, setting the team's fund settings, and then retrieving the Office 365 tenant ID from the domain name. As well, they're also working on a V2, so there's a preview available for that has a simplified login experience, as well as a bit of a reorganization around the commands. So you can always try that out by installing the @pnp/office 365-CLI@2 TWO to get the version 2. I guess we'll call it a beta or pre-release or alpha even. That's very much a work in progress, but very much worth checking that out. And if you have ideas or comments on how that could be better, of course, please share those in the issues list. I'm sure everybody would be interested, Waldeck and crew, interested in hearing your thoughts on how the V2 build out is going. You can always install the latest beta from npm install-g at pnp/office 365-CLI@next. And then you can follow the Office 365 CLI hashtag on Twitter. There is a Gitter channel, and then as well the docs link there is that aka.ms 0365 CLI link will take you to the docs for the PnP Office 365 CLI. No updates this week for the reusable controls, but did want to remind folks that might be new to the calls or haven't heard of these. There's a whole set of reusable React controls that are ready to go, and you can drop into your projects. There's the first set are property controls. These are designed to be used in the edit pane of your web parts, and so provides a very rich editing experience, saves you a lot of time in developing those, and has things like taxonomy pickers, list pickers, color pickers. There's a whole suite of ready-to-use controls, and then as well the React content controls are designed for use in the body of your web parts, or as well in your application customizers. They could work just as well there too, and those are styled with the Office UI fabric. So they're going to give you a very nice out-of-the-box look and blend perfectly with your application, and really designed to save you a ton of development time and snap right into your existing React SharePoint framework development efforts. So definitely check those out. It's a great time saver and a great jump start on your development. So now, again, no updates for the community generator this week, but wanted to remind folks we do have as well a community Yeoman generator offering, so that this is built on top of the out-of-the-box SharePoint framework generator. So at the end of the process, you end up with a real SharePoint framework project with all the same dependencies and all the same underlying classes and various things from the out-of-the-box generator. But you have a few more options as you go through the setup of this. So you've got choices around different frameworks to use, such as Vue, Angular, Handlebars, stuff like that is not supported by the out-of-the-box generator, and as well additional choices on setting up your project. You can include stuff from PnP, so the PnP offerings you can easily include into your project, as well as some other choices to help get you started. It's another great tool to throw in your tool belt for SharePoint framework development. You can install that from npm install-g at pnp/generator-spfx, aka.ms/pnp generator, linked for more information on there, and as well the hashtag PnP SPFx on Twitter for some information around that. So another great time saver, great tool, especially if you want to use a framework that isn't immediately supported by the out-of-the-box generator. Again, a great way to jumpstart your development. So certainly check that out. Had some great feedback on that. And now we are at the demo time for the call. So David, you are up first with library components. If you want to take over.
Okay, great. Let me go ahead and share my screen.
And you're live. Take it away.
Okay, great. Thanks for letting me demo today. For those that don't know me, this is my contact information. I work for Catapult Systems, Microsoft MVP, and Office Development. And there's my blog, so feel free to let me know if you have any questions. All right. So today I wanted to talk a little bit about library components combined with SVG. So we'll start out with an overview of library components, and then for those that maybe aren't familiar yet, we'll see what SVGs are and why they're unique compared to other iconography or image options. And we'll go ahead and then see how we can combine library components and SVGs together to result in awesome. So library components are a way to combine functionality that you otherwise might build into your web partner extension, into a SharePoint framework module, and that allows you to access them from your web parts and extensions. So it's a way to be very performant with your functionality. One of those things that can also be included, as you can see here, are SVG files. So those are files that are fully supported to be packaged together in your SharePoint framework solutions, such as library components. All right, now, what are SVGs? So SVG stands for Scalable Vector Graphics. So think of it as 100% vector graphics, like icon fonts. You might find icon fonts use those kind of iconography images, flat sometimes, that are completely and totally scalable because they are vector. So scalable vector graphics, or SVGs, are very similar, but way better. So you might say, well, is it file or is it markup? It can actually be both, because you can reference an SVG, as you can see here, through just its file name and include it in something like an object or an image tag. But what's behind the scenes is actually SVG XML markup, right? And that gives you much more increased control, as we see in just a moment, but it looks more like your typical XML. You've got close and end tags along with information. You may remember recently a demo by Chris on using SVG XML path data for list and column formatting, and so we'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment. The increased control that it provides you. So when you look here at a particular SVG file URL being referenced, we can see here we've got this little handshake, a nice community contribution kind of handshake working together. When you reference it from an SVG file URL, you do have very limited control. So whereas in an icon font, you might be able to change the color using CSS. You can't even do that with an SVG file URL reference. It's very limited control because it is XML, so you don't have a lot of control over it when you reference it from a URL just to the .svg file. But as you can see, when you can access the SVG markup here on the right, you have much more increased control. So each of these little elements here are paths within the XML that can be modified by something like CSS, or otherwise JavaScript could modify them as well. So how does that all work together? within a SharePoint library component. So I'm going to jump over here to Visual Studio Code. I scaffolded out a library component. Now this library component will be up in the PnP repository. I'm actually on vacation right now, so I apologize. I'm traveling. I didn't get it up in the pull request yet, but it will be shortly. I'll work on that with Vesa in the next few days. This library component is a simple library component. You can see here I've included a folder called icons to a theme category called teamwork and a bunch of SVGs. And I'll make sure that it includes all of these when it gets uploaded to the repo. And all of these get packaged together. Now, you may be saying, well, I don't really want to include those in my library component. You don't have to. You could use the tenant asset library that's going to be coming out soon and store them externally. I personally like the library component for the scalability and the modularity of it. So it packages it all together. It's one nice, neat, very portable solution that you can send or deploy however you need to without any external dependencies. Now, what makes this library component unique? So I've included 3 primary functions. One is return the SVG URL. So maybe you do just want to use the SVG as you see it. The color is okay and everything is fine. So you just want to go ahead and reference it there. This will return to you the SVG dynamically. So you can call this from your your web part or your extension. You may also want to get access to the actual markup. You may want the additional control. So in this particular function, it is going to return the SVG markup, and then you can do what you want with that markup, use it in one or more places, modify it using JavaScript, CSS, Sass, whatever the case may be. And then the last function for now is you may just say, hey, look, I don't want to have anything to do with the SVG markup, but I do want to benefit by it being inserted and available into my content in my web part or extension. So you can actually make a request to insert the SVG. You would provide the category name. As we see here, there's only one category name for now, teamwork. You would provide the icon name and the class name. And then this is going to go look for that class in your content and go ahead and insert the SVG for you. And there we go, for you automatically. So very, very low lifting there for you. It does all the heavy lifting for you if you wanted to. So let's see how that looks when everything is working. So I've got a site that I've created here. I've created a web part that goes in and taps into that particular component and will give us access to everything. So let's go ahead and start with the SVG URL. One of them I know is called Handshake. We saw that in the slides. So I'm just going to go ahead and request that SVG. And we see that because I've already packaged it up and deployed out my library component, it's referencing that within my particular tenant here. So it gives me access to that SVG. I can then grab that URL and do whatever I want with it within my web part extension in an image tag or an object tag. Where the fun really gets started, though, is here in the markup. So I'm going to go ahead and open up the network tab here in my dev toolbar. I'm going to filter to just .svg. And this is where we really see some benefits over and above icon fonts. I'm going to go ahead and make the same request for Handshake, request markup. And you can see it's now pulled over that mark or that particular SVG, but it's done the actual capturing of the markup for you. It's still using just the .svg, but the library component is what is actually going ahead and giving you that markup. And you see it's only 1.3K. It's very small. So whereas with an icon font, you have everything coupled together, and if you want one, you have to take them all. Here, you can actually access them individually, which is very nice. So if I were to go over to another icon called Focus, we see now it's able to pull that one individually, again, just 1K. And just for benefit, I'll show you Handshake again because there is the benefit. Look at that off there. You can see it's now pulling it from disk cache, which is nice because then it will get cached. And so if you do pull back the same one more than once, you benefit from the disk cache, caching it, which is fantastic. Now let's see the option for SVG injection. We'll go ahead and do the same Handshake. And what we're doing here is we're saying we want the icon to be injected into our PnP containers. We've got 2 here, and those are done by class name. This one should remain empty. So if I request my SVG, you can see it's now populated. I can change that to Focus. Focus. I need to focus. And you can see it changes. And these have been set up as well to inherit from the theme. So if I go up to change the look, and I select change the look, and I go back to theme, and I were just to change that to my primary purple theme, you see they inherit that as well. So you can style those perfectly. So now you may be saying, why SVG? It seems like a lot of heavy lifting compared to something like an icon font? Well, again, they're 100% vector, which is about the same as the icon font. That's where the similarities end. But it's smaller than an icon font, so you can actually access them individually, which is a benefit. And it's just cooler. So let's see. It's actually telling me to stop talking and to click here to show you why. So here is a little example of why SVGs are cooler. We've got our developer here, our SharePoint developer, but he looks sad. So it's because he's got no stickers on his laptop. There's a secret button here on his PnP coffee mug, so we're going to go ahead and click that. It takes us into the sticker lab. We've got our instructions that say move the proper ingredients into the lab beaker to create a sticker. So we've got some icons here that we want to play with, and we want to move them in the right equation into our beaker over here on the right. So we'll start with TypeScript. That looks about right. We'll toss it over there. Definitely some PnP samples. Toss it over there. This guy looks a little angry, but okay. Well, my tossing skills are not as good. Go ahead and throw him in. Oh, wait. Bullies equal false. Yes, so he needs to go in the trash because PnP doesn't want any bullies. All right. Handshake for the community. Great. And we got this little creature here. Whoops. Okay, let's toss him in. And all right, now our beaker looks ready to go. So I'm going to click it, and let's see what happens when we click it. It's actually morphing into Parker. That is one of the cool benefits of SVGs because they are plotted points, geometric shapes. You can actually morph between objects very easily using some JavaScript libraries. So our sticker's ready. All right, we'll go ahead. We see he's getting some stickers. Now, once Parker gets placed on the stickers, pay attention to his face. That frown gets turned upside down, and he's got this creepy little look at you that will probably haunt your dreams. I know it has mine. But you can see the benefit here of using SVGs is this is one big SVG with multiple paths. Everything is animatable, so you can actually modify it using JavaScript. So what's next? More features. So when I get this library component added to the repo, I'm going to add more. Whoops, seems to be moving around on me. I'm going to be adding more icons. I'm going to be adding the functions that allow you to automorph between icons listed within there, so you'll be able to make a request to do that. I'm also creating an SPFx command set for list formatting that will include the icons and give you back the individual paths. So those icons are going to be single paths, which make them friendly for list formatting. So all you'll have to do is kind of copy and paste. And is there any other requests that you have? So feel free to reach out to me and let me know if you have any other requests. And oh, by the way, you may have noticed the little animation. I don't know how well it's coming across in the video. That's completely SVG too, this menu system up here. So last but not least, let me just go ahead and bring up the last particular line or slide here. Check out the library component tutorial. If you are interested in learning more, the repo is right here. And there's a couple other guys in the community that are doing fantastic work with library components. Alex has a React template blog that just came out, and Vardamon has a using Microsoft Rush to manage SPFx. So definitely check these guys out as well. They are doing a lot with that too, and I will include those links there in the chat window. All right, so thanks for your time.
Great stuff. Thanks, David. Appreciate that. So, Laurent, you are up if you want to take over the screen. So, great demo from David there on some of the capabilities of using SVG in your applications. Really cool to see, and he's just shared some links there in the window.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Sure can. No, I've got your screen. If you want to take it away, you're good to go.
Okay. Thank you, Parker. Hello, everybody. My name is Laurent Sittler. I'm French Microsoft 365 architect, and I'm working for UMAknow located in Montreal. Here, my personal information, if you have any question or suggestion. So, today, the demo I would like to show you is about an alternative of Google Analytics based on Microsoft extensions that allow you to add additional KPI on your SharePoint site collection. To have a Matomo Analytics server, you can use one on on-premise environment or online. You need an app catalog of tenant or site collection, a modern site collection, of course, because you are using a Matomo SPFx extension, and to deploy them, you need a console with PnP PowerShell or Office 365 CLI. So let me show you on my blog the tutorial that I used to this demo. So for several reasons, a lot of companies don't want or can't use Google Analytics for several reasons, for security them or whatever. So another solution is Matomo Analytics. Why? because it really looks like a Google Analytics on several features similar. You have additional in features like GDPR for Europe SharePoint, and you can use a customizable open source. So this is really great. It already exists an SPFx with an add-in for SharePoint available by and provided by Matomo directly, but this is a little bit complicated. So this is why I developed myself an extension for Google for SharePoint Analytics, and I'll show you with Matomo server in Docker Compose. So to do that, you have just to copy paste this one on a specific Compose file. So for that, I'll use this one like that. I prefer Nano. Copy paste. Okay, very good. Just with that, you can run a Docker with Matomo server. Matomo up. With this Compose file, you will deploy automatically a MySQL server autonomous with a Matomo server too. So you have to wait MySQL server is launched, and after that, the Matomo one is already too. Next, by the way, prerequisite. So you need a tracking site ID. I'll show you how to get one directly from the Matomo server. And after that, because I'm in a Mac environment, I use this release based on a bash script. To launch the bash script, you have to go. You have to go to. You have to unzip. Sorry, cd user. You have to unzip the archive file. That's Matomo. Not this one, setup. After that, you have to allow the executable script on bash. So to do that, you have just a /mod plus x. Very well, it's okay. So maybe the server now is ready. Yes, Matomo is ready now. So you have on localhost. That. In the local file, I'm using a simple credential like a username is Matomo and the password is password 01. So Matomo to connect to the dashboard one. Awesome. So this page, you show this page each time the Matomo have no data. So when you go to this, you have the dashboard. It's really like Google Analytics. So you can use some settings to parameter to set up your tracking ID. So you can easily change some information. Like this one, I use here Matomo demonstration for my KPI. And for the site, I use my SharePoint URL. Like that. There we go. So the site ID is this one. So now, how to use the extension of PowerShell. So this is quite simple because I'm using some script to allow you to deploy directly some information. You have just to follow this script. So for the first one, you have to log into your SharePoint site. So by using login, you type the URL. Just online.sharepoint.com. Slash for my site is one. Matomo, Gmo. There we go. Push this information up. Leave that. Okay. That. Okay, two. Okay. So connection. Wait. Okay. So the script what you have to do is this one. You have to use a setup.sh, like it's mentioned is here, the site URL. the site URL is this one. I just created previously a site to win some time. This is a modern communication site of SharePoint Online. So you can just use this URL. So site, this is site URL here. After that, so you have to use tracking URL. Tracking URL is the Matomo server URL that you have to use to connect to the analytics. So in my case, is localhost .9020, and you have to precise the tracking ID like that, tracking site ID, and in my case, if you remember, it's 1. So if I use that, my script should automatically deploy the Matomo Analytics package on the site app catalog. In my case, my site collection uses its own app site catalog, like this. So the first type of Matomo Analytics is deployed, and it should be installed. There we go. So you just wait some minutes until the package is totally deployed. So by the way, in the meantime, I'll just parameter my Matomo to show in a real time the counter of live user. So to do that, real live visitor. So with that, we can show we have in real time some visits on the site collection. So this is enabled now. Yeah, perfect. So if I'm just browsing the server page and then perform a search on SharePoint, like that, okay. Once I come back to Matomo, and refresh this first time, there we go. Yeah, 1 user, perfect. So visit log, what you can see. So you can show the user the several pages we visited on the search performed too. So there just an issue on this current version of Matomo server is because currently the ID of the user is random. So if you have several users and then use several browsers, you can have a lot of visitor profile. So to increase the severity and increase the performance, you can easily add the user credential as login name to have a unique user based on SharePoint Online information. So to do that, system action, lists from you. I use this one. Cool. I remove the current system action to add another parameter of my command line. So I remove this one, like that. ID for remove the ID one. Okay, oops, what's wrong? Oh yeah, sorry. Okay, so I reuse the setup one, but I add some information in addition to information like track user ID, and expected value is true or 1, and to avoid to redeploy each time all of package in the app catalog, I just bypass all of previous, so I should, checkpoint, sorry. Checkpoint should be, yes. Okay, so I just enable the Matomo Analytics extension only with the additional information like track user ID. So if I come back to my server one of SharePoint, so I just switch between several pages, like that, and perform another search. Why not? Okay, no results, and I come back to here, some dashboard, I always one user. And if I go log to, yeah, my user is authenticated. So now you know exactly which user is visiting your SharePoint site. This is great. You have a lot of information of Matomo server directly on website that should be provide some information. So you can show easily my post on my personal blog. The source template is based on my GitLab server. And if you have need any information about the JavaScript integration, you can easily go to Matomo websites. And if you go just a little bit on the code, this is based on the instruction on the SharePoint SPFx 181. On the server side here, you have the supported parameters, and the code is pretty simple because on the event, you have two events that are captured by the code. The first one is a change event, is used for the search. When you perform a search from the reader, this event will catch exactly at this time. And when you navigate between several pages, you can use navigate events. All of this will be initialized some script by re-initialize navigate event, and we have a partial navigation too on SharePoint Online. So to do that, I integrate by using a function based on the pack. So this is a Matomo sample script that I added directly on the SharePoint site, and I create a function that can be called later on the refresh page when is for example, a search or when you have partial sites. And after that, you just have to call this one, and that's it. It's okay for me, done.
Cool. So 2 great demos there from David and Laurent. Thank you guys. Really appreciate your time putting those together. Really valuable stuff for the community. Want to encourage folks, if you have a cool demo that you would like to do, please do get in touch with us. We would love to host you on an upcoming call so that we can show off your great work you're doing with your customers or your companies or whomever you might be doing great work for. A reminder, our next SPFx JS meeting will be August 1st. August 1st, we're skipping the month of July, so do not expect to show up to a meeting in July. It'll be August 1st. Our next general SharePoint Dev SIG will be on June 27th. That's next Thursday. That'll be our last regularly scheduled meeting until August. So look forward to seeing you all in those calls. Yep, I've said that enough, and we've got time for Q&A, although that slide, I think I must have skipped it. So we got a little bit of time.
You missed the slide. Yes. Yeah. So on the next week calls, by the way, we will test the Microsoft Teams. Cool. There we go. We'll on next week's calls on the general sec call on 27th of June, and that's the last call before the break, like Patrick said. We will test the Microsoft Teams over there because Jax will do the demo which he failed to do last week, so which is around custom forms creation with Power Apps in the SharePoint context. So that's going to be there, and we'll have Chris Kent queued up as well. For his warrior horses stuff, which is always fun to watch. Well, column formatting and view formatting stuff. But if there's any questions right now on the chat window, which we haven't addressed, so we do have 10 minutes, and we're here to help on the questions. Absolutely. On Eric's comment, most of the community calls have been moved to Teams into YouTube. Well, not in the case of Microsoft, definitely. Most of our developer community calls are in Microsoft Teams right now, and we're moving into the Microsoft Teams, absolutely. So, and how to hide quick launch for SP modern page? Use a page layout which is not having the quick launch. So if you create a communication site, it will give you the full page layout, and that means that the layout itself will hide the left side navigation. That would be a way to do that. Sure. Okay. So the YouTube, got it. So we do still have the limitations of Microsoft Teams, apparently in 250 attendees, but that might be actually flipped over more than that already by August. So definitely we're looking into using August. We will renew the meeting series invites. The monthly one will be renewed later today. Probably the SPFx one will be renewed this week, Patrick, right? Today. Let's do it today. Patrick?
It sounds like today. Yeah.
Okay. And then we'll renew the general SIG, the other bi-weekly community call after that one next week. So that's going to be renewed then. The invite, the URLs will be still the same, and AKMS PnP is the location to then download the updated ICS files. We will definitely send reminders on the new call invites in Twitter, in Facebook, and all of that. So that's going to be there. Can I convert modern team site to communication site? Technically, yes. You could be able to do that by flipping just the welcome page layout. Well, technically, there's no difference in the modern. Well, behind of the scenes, communication site and team sites are actually different site definitions, but that's not relevant in cloud. And that's basically you're able to flip a classic team site or a modern team site to use communication site layout, which means the left full page navigation. So that's definitely possible and doable. Why Office 365 developer subscription reduced from 12 months to 90 months? That's automatically renewing after that 90 days, as long as you're using that developer subscription for developer usage. So we do have instrumentation, which is tracking, are you using the developer subscription for developer usage or not? And if you are, for example, using the workbench, using the REST APIs and CSAM APIs, and if you do that, it's going to automatically renew after that 90 days, so you don't have to do anything on that. Is it possible to use React 16.8 in SPFx project? I think right now, unfortunately, yes. Answer is no, because the native SharePoint is still not in 16.8, or it might be actually just doing the transition right now. After 1.9, it's planned to be supported. So 16.8 with the whatever the thing is, what people want to have with 16.8 will be then doable. Office 365 groups teams site. Can we flip the welcome page on that one? My understanding is that, well, absolutely you can. So it's just that the modern pages are modern pages. Are they in communication sites or are in the modern theme sites? There's no difference between that. So yes, you can. Now, there might be a feature which you need to activate, and I can't remember how well we have documented that in the docs, but definitely possible to transform a modern group associated team site to use full width layout, and that would make it like a communication site. Yes, with AC's comment, we are looking into potentially have few kind of ad hoc, let's say, community calls in July, if there's a demand for those, hosted by AC, as other people are out. So if there's an interest for it, we can definitely do that and then we'll come up with a official Microsoft Teams calls. We talked about that one at AC a while back.
Hey, Vesa, how would you suggest that we let people know about that? I mean, I have my ways of doing it, but I didn't know if you had a special way to do that. If you want to do something special. Yeah,
I don't know if I want to do anything special. I can absolutely help you to share the invites. How I would suggest this is that let's schedule, and if you can book the calls or 1 or 2 calls directly, if we can get a 1 invite created for them, and we'll share it in early July, and that's it. Or maybe 1 call in July, and I can then use the wider channels to get it out, so people are aware of that.
Okay, so just I guess the message to everybody is just watch the normal channels that we have for this. You can watch me on Twitter. I'll put something up there, and then Vesa will. But I'll put something together in the next week.
Yep, sounds good. Sounds good. I will be working still a few weeks, so no rush. But then I'm off for a while. Is custom branding allowed for Microsoft Teams? Microsoft Teams, no. Microsoft Teams does not allow any custom branding because, well, there's no extensibility points in the UI of Microsoft Teams. Now you can use custom branding inside of the Teams tabs, but that's it. By default, Microsoft Teams, you can only do light and white layout or then the black layout. I prefer black layout, but everybody has their own preferences. Am I able to set the sensitivity of the system column in document library? On Daniel's comments, we would have to follow up on probably on that one, what's causing that. I wouldn't know what the sensitivity of the system column actually is even, so I wouldn't be able to comment on that one. I can guess what it actually is referring to, but I don't know what's the right format for it. Is Python mandatory for SPFx project using Node 10X? Facing issues with Python. I never have any issues with Python with SPFx development. Now I do know that there's some Python dependencies which might be installed on the node when you're installing the Yeoman generator through the dependency tree. But you don't have to install any Python explicitly. You just install the Yeoman generator and then you're good to go. If that doesn't work for you, then there's something wrong with the environment because by default definitely should work. When is this command going to be activated? Enable SPL com site. Good question. I think there was a small delay on that one, unfortunately. So the PM owner of that one communicated some smaller delay. They found out some potential regressions in the testing. So I can't give you an exact date for it, but it is actively being worked on. So people would be able to transform their root site collection in their tenant as a communication site, and maybe in the future transform any modern theme site or classic theme site to be a communication site. That's definitely the intention. Okay, Python dependency has been going. Cool, that's good. I can't remember where we are with the dependency tree. Yes, on the compliance stuff, yeah, I've kind of guessed that the sensitive columns is around related on that one, but I don't know the format of that one out of my head. So. Should AAD HTTP client work inside of the SharePoint app or mobile? So we're working on the mobile, making these things work in the mobile. I think right now we still have some issues related on Azure AAD HTTP client on the mobile or in the Microsoft Teams the desktop client. But that's meant to be addressed latest in the 1.9 release of the library on SPFx, so that should be definitely coming up. Thank you, AC, for the Twitter feeds. Definitely provisioning engine Azure Function V2 does not support PowerShell. That is true. So we are moving into addressing this requirement for the PnP engine. Whenever we will have the .NET standard version of CSOM, then we can actually address the PnP provisioning engine being a .NET standard version of things, and then we can release PowerShell core version of the PnP provisioning engine. Until that happens, we can't actually go there. So there's a dependency on the engineering work which is being worked on, but there is no timeline. Thanks for the updating user voice. Thank you, Stephen. I don't have a new job, so I've been on this job now for 2.5 years or 3 years, so no new jobs. I'm not planning to actually flip on a new job either. A new title, fair point. Yeah, so titles are titles. They don't mean a thing. You can call me cleaning lady. I'll be fine with that title.
Principal
that's what I do. Principal cleaning lady. I clean stuff from user voice and GitHub and all of that, so that's my job. No, I don't care about titles. I think it's all about working together with community, regardless of the title. I think we're running out of time as well. Good list of questions. Now that my Skype is working properly as well. SPF example using React. Good. So Bill has a sample already pending there as well. I think we're running out of time. Should we close? I can't see any active, super active questions there either. I think that's it. The Whoop message is good. RIP content type hub. No, well, the content type hub is still. We can talk about this one quickly. No CSOM for purposing content type hub content types for now, and that's basically a prioritization question. We're prioritizing graph APIs, and there's no intention to investing on CSOM to publish content type hub, support purposing content type hub content types. Now, the content type hub is the future of that one is a long-lasting story, and we're looking into having enterprise content management investments more and more in the future. But I probably will need to wait until the Ignite 2019 until we can see something concrete out of that. But I basically declined that user voice entry earlier today. Based on internal discussions, and it's better to free up those votes for another issues, another votes, rather than keeping them booked on something which we're not planning to do. So try to be transparent on that one. But I think that's it for this week. A lot of questions.
Reminder, next meeting August 1st. Reminder, next meeting August 1st. Skipping July, except for maybe whatever Andrew's going to do. So we will see you all soon. Thanks. Have a great summer.
Thanks. Bye-bye.